Imagine waking up in a hospital bed with no memory of who you are. A nurse whispers reassuring words, but something in her voice doesn't feel right. Your surroundings are clinical but off. And the worst part, you can't remember how you got here. This isn't a fictional nightmare. This is the beginning of one of the darkest and most chilling government experiments in US history. Project MKUltra. The early 1950s were marked by a shadow war, not just of missiles and nuclear arms, but of the human mind itself. Intelligence agencies believed that if you could control thought, you could control people. And in 1953, under the direction of Allen Dulles, the Central Intelligence Agency launched a program that would stretch the boundaries of morality, science, and human rights. They called it MKUltra, officially. It was a program to research interrogation methods and behavioral modification. But behind locked doors, it became something far more sinister, an attempt to hack the human brain. The CIA wasn't just interested in truth serums. They wanted to find out if a person's sense of reality could be erased and rebuilt. They turned to psychoactive substances, especially lysergic acid diethylamide, better known as LSD. The idea was chillingly simple. Dose a person with LSD, break down their mental defenses and reshape their thoughts. Some CIA officials believed LSD could make someone completely controllable, a human robot. But these experiments weren't confined to hidden labs. They infiltrated universities, hospitals, and prisons. In many cases, subjects didn't even know they were part of an experiment. Perhaps the most infamous of these operations was Operation Midnight Climax. In this operation, the CIA set up safehouses in San Francisco and New York. Sex workers, secretly on the CIA's payroll, would lure unsuspecting men into these rooms. Drinks would be spiked with LSD, and behind mirrored glass, agents observed how their victims reacted under chemical influence. What they were doing was illegal, but secrecy was their shield. Outside of the United States, the CIA was also funding experiments through front organizations. In Montreal, Donald Ewan Cameron at the Allen Memorial Institute conducted experiments that would traumatize countless patients. His methods included drug-induced comas, electroconvulsive therapy, and playing repetitive recorded messages to reprogram personalities. These weren't enemy spies. These were everyday people seeking treatment for anxiety, depression, or postpartum issues. They left Cameron's clinic as hollow shells of who they once were. The scale of MKUltra was staggering. Over 80 institutions, 150 subprojects, and thousands of human subjects. And yet, most of them never knew they were part of something so horrifying. The CIA justified everything in the name of national security. But behind that justification lay broken lives, erased memories, and destroyed identities. This was only the beginning of a psychological war that would shape decades of hidden operations. As MKUltra expanded, its methods became more dangerous, more ruthless. What began as secretive LSD trials evolved into a sprawling network of psychological warfare. The CIA believed they could erase a mind and write a new one. Inside hidden facilities, prisoners, mental patients, and civilians were subjected to extreme experiments. Sleep deprivation, sensory isolation, repetitive audio loops, and powerful hallucinogens were used to push human consciousness to its breaking point. The agency's dream was to create what they called a Manchurian Candidate, someone who could be hypnotized, programmed and triggered to act, even to assassinate, without memory of what they'd done. Declassified documents showed chilling notes, complete control. Personality erased. Subject is pliable. This was no longer science. It was psychological warfare. The program infiltrated college campuses across the US. Students unknowingly participated in LSD experiments funded by CIA front groups. The unsuspecting students believed they were part of legitimate academic studies. Some of them would later become major figures in culture and politics. never realizing their altered states were part of MK Ultra. Meanwhile, in prisons, inmates were offered shorter sentences in exchange for participation. Many never fully recovered from what was done to them. Then came one of the most shocking cases in the program's history: the death of Frank Olson. Olson was a CIA scientist who was secretly dosed with LSD during a retreat. In the following days, he spiraled into paranoia and fear. 9 days later, he fell to his death from a hotel window in New York. The official story claimed suicide, but later investigations revealed the CIA's hand in his death. Olson's family spent decades fighting for the truth. The government eventually admitted to dosing him, but not to what really happened that night. Meanwhile, CIA safehouses expanded their reach. Operation Midnight Climax continued. Agents used prostitutes, drugs, and recording devices to explore ways to control human behavior. Their ultimate goal wasn't just truth extraction, it was domination of the human mind. This reckless quest for control came with no oversight, no ethical review boards, no consequences. And in the shadows, countless lives were being rewritten against their will. For 2 decades, MK Ultra operated like a phantom. It was hidden behind layers of classified files, front organizations, and lies. But no secret lasts forever. In December 1974, investigative journalist Seymour Hersh published a bombshell article in the New York Times revealing illegal domestic activities by the CIA, including mind control experiments on US citizens. The nation erupted in outrage. The United States Congress launched investigations. The Church Committee and Rockefeller Commission dug into the evidence. What they found confirmed the worst fears. 50 sub-projects, A2 plus institutions, LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and psychological torture, thousands of victims. Many of them unaware they were ever part of an experiment. The hearings were televised. The world heard the words MK Ultra for the first time. One name stood out: Sidney Gottlieb. He was the CIA chemist who led many of MK Ultra's operations. Known as the Black Sorcerer, Gottlieb had overseen LSD experiments, hypnosis sessions, and mind-altering torture programs. He testified, but many records had already been destroyed. In 1973, then CIA Director Richard Helms had ordered the destruction of most MK Ultra files. What remained was only a fraction of the truth. Even so, that fraction was horrifying. The revelations forced the government to implement new regulations on human experimentation. But justice was elusive. Many victims were never identified. Compensation was minimal. Some families, like Frank Olson's, continued their battle for decades, and the most unsettling question remained: if so much was hidden, what else is still hidden today? MK Ultra wasn't just a Cold War experiment. It was a warning, a demonstration of what can happen when secrecy, fear, and unchecked power collide. It's a story about the fragility of the human mind and the dangerous lengths to which governments will go to control it. You can't control what they did in the past, but you can control your own mind today. Unlock your focus, creativity, and clarity with the Genius Wave. The link is waiting for you in the pinned comment below.